Now the second type of question that you people can expect in the exam would be based on this, where you have to find out which of the given mathematical equation is correct. Now see, in every 4 options, right, in all the 4 options a mathematical equation is given to you. You have to find out that out of these given 4 mathematical equations, which mathematical equation is correct after replacing the codes, right. For example, if PES stands for division, divide stands for multiplication, multiply stands for subtraction, and minus stands for addition, then which of the following is correct? Now see, what you can do, you people can take these options one by one and start solving them, and let's see which option gives me an answer. For example, see what I will do, first I will replace these codes, like plus stands for divide, so wherever I have symbol of plus, I'll replace it with divide, right. Second, divide stands for multiply, so wherever I have a divide symbol, I'll replace it with multiply. Next, multiply stands for subtraction, so wherever I have multiply symbol, I'll replace it with minus, and minus stands for plus, so wherever we have minus symbol, we'll replace it with addition. So now our first equation, first option will become 18 multiplied by 6 plus 7 plus 5 minus 2, or divide by 5 minus 2. Now see, 7 divided by 5, as per the rule of BODMAS, first I am going to solve this divide, right. 7 divided by 5, it will be 1.4, rest of the equation will be kept as it is. Now see, you don't have to show these steps to anyone, understand this very well. There is no need for you to show these steps to anyone. See, I am writing very detailed solution for every option. Remember that I am writing a very detailed solution for every option, right. But even in exam, if I am going to solve these questions, I am going to do some calculations in my mind. For example, I will solve 7 divided by 5 as 1.4, and I will also solve 18 into 6 as 108. Right now I am writing the detailed solution so that anyone from you who have made a mistake, he or she can understand where exactly they went wrong, right. But at that point of time, I am going to solve few operators in parallel, right. So now 7 divided by 5, it is 1.4 minus 2. Now 18 divided by 6, 18 into 6 is 108 plus 1.4 minus 2. Now 108 plus 1.4, 109.4 minus 2. Sir, it is not equals to 20. It is not equals to 20, that is for sure. So option A cannot be my answer. Now if I solve option B, 18 divided by 6 multiplied by 7 minus 5 plus 2. Now see, 18 divided by 6 is 3. 3 into 7 minus 5 plus 2 will be kept as it is. 3 into 7 is 21. Minus 5 plus 2 will be kept as it is. Now see, 21 plus 2 is 23. 23 minus 5, sir, it is 18. That means option B will be my correct answer. Right. So replace these codes one by one and solve. Alright, let's try one more question. Now see, in this question, if minus stands for divide, plus stands for multiply, divide stands for subtraction, and multiply stands for addition, then which of the following equation is correct? See, first I am going to replace these codes. Wherever I have a minus symbol, I will replace it with divide. Minus stands for divide, right. Then it says plus stands for multiply, so wherever we have plus sign, we will replace it with multiply. Then divide stands for subtraction, so wherever we have divide, we will replace it with subtract. And multiply stands for addition, so wherever we have multiply, we will replace it with that, right. So option A is 18 minus 3 plus 2 multiplied by 8 divided by 6. Alright, now let's solve this. See, 8 divided by 6 is 1.33. Right, rest of the equation will be kept as it is. 1.33333 non-terminating. Now 2 into 1.33 is 2.66. Rest of the equation will be kept as it is. Now 18 plus 2, this will be 20.66 minus 3, which is 17, which will not be equals to 10. 17.66. Now if I take option B, 18 divided by 3 multiplied by 2 plus 8 minus 6. So 18 divided by 3 is 6 into 2 plus 8 minus 6. 6 into 2, 12 plus 8 minus 6, 20 minus 6, it will be 14. This will be the correct answer. alright, like this. But now here is one thing I need to observe, and I need to be very clear with this. Sir, like right now I am getting answer as B option, right, but suppose if my answer ever is going to be D option, then solving option A, option B, option C, right, it would take much of my time. So now I want to solve these questions in less amount of time, right. I want to solve these questions in less amount of time. Then in that case, how I should approach these questions? To understand this in a better way, let's go to the first question that we had. And now I am going to tell you a logic. Using that logic, you can easily discard 2 to 3 of your options, right, 2 options of yours very easily. Just hear out the logic. What my logic says, see, on the right side of the equation, I can see that every time I have integer values, like 20 is an integer, 18 is an integer, 16 is an integer, 22 is an integer. So on the right side of equal to, every time I have an integer value. Since on the right side of equal to I have integer values, this tells me on the left side, right, this tells me that on the left side, on dividing two integers, my answer should be integer. Because see, whenever I add two integers like 3 plus 4, 6 plus 7, 8 plus 9, whenever I add two integers, right, or 9 plus 15, whenever I add two integers, I always get an integer. Similarly, if I subtract two integers like 15 minus 8, right, 10 minus 6, or 7 minus 2, right, 8 minus 7, right. So whenever I subtract two integers, my answer is always an integer. Similarly, if I multiply two integers, my answer will be integer, like 3 into 5, right, 7 into 10, 9 into 8, 7 into 15, right. So whenever I multiply two integers, my answer is integer. But when I divide two integers, my answer can go in decimal or can remain in integer. For example, 9 divided by 3, it is 3. My answer is, on dividing two integers, my answer is integer. But now if I solve 6 divided by 4, now 6 divided by 4 is 1.25. Now see, on dividing two integers, my answer went into a decimal. So remember that on dividing two integers only, my answer can go in decimal, right. And now if that decimal can never be converted back to integer, because see, to convert a decimal back to integer, we should multiply it with 10 or with a multiple of 10. You all agree with this? For example, if I have 1.25, to convert this 1.25 back to integer, I should multiply it with 100. Or, right, since my unit digit is 5, so it should be multiplied with an even number. It should be multiplied with an even number like 4. If I multiply 0.25 with 4, it becomes 1, right. So this clearly tells me that if on dividing two integers, if I ever get a decimal, and suppose if I can never convert that decimal back to integer, that option can never be my answer. That option can never be my answer. I am going to eliminate these options like these. See, for example, in this question, as I see on the right side of equal to, every time I had two integers, that means my division should be complete, right. So right now, instead of solving the entire equation, I am going to solve only the part of the equation where divide is going to happen. Now plus stands for divide, so wherever you have a symbol of plus, replace it with divide. Wherever you had a symbol of plus, replace it with divide. Now see, 7 divided by 5, 7 divided by 5 is 1.4. 7 divided by 5 is 1.4. To convert this 1.4 back to integer, I should multiply it with 5 or with a multiple of 10. To convert this 1.4 back to integer, I should multiply it with 5 or should multiply it with 10. Now after solving this 7 divided by 5, is there any part of the equation that contains 5 in it? Right? Does the remaining equation contains a multiple of 5? No. Does the remaining equation contains a multiple of 10? No. Right. So after solving this part of the equation, since the remaining equation do not contain a multiple of 10 or a multiple of 5, this tells me this 1.4 can never be converted back to integer. Right. You can see the previous solution also, right. In previous solution, we saw that our final answer came out to be like 107.4, right. We were never able to convert this decimal back to integer. Now see, 6 divided by 7, if I take option C, 6 divided by 7, 6 divided by 7 is 0.8571 something non-terminating. So it will be a non-terminating decimal. Now remember that, sir, you can never convert a non-terminating decimal back to integer. You can never convert a non-terminating decimal back to integer. Remember that. So this tells me that solving 6 divided by 7, since I am getting a non-terminating decimal, it can never be converted back to integer. Right. Now see, 7 divided by 5. 7 divided by 5 is 1.4. To convert this 1.4 back to integer, I should have a multiple of 10 or with a multiple of 5. Now solving this part of the equation, we can see that the remaining equation does not contain a multiple of 10, or the remaining equation does not contain a multiple of 5. This tells me that this decimal can also not be converted back to integer. So my answer will be option B. And when we solved this option B entirely, we saw that it came out to be our answer. Right? See, suppose if I use this logic, in this question I am not even going to solve a single equation. But see, your examiner is also very, very clever. Your examiner would know that you might be knowing this logic. So what he is going to do, he is going to give you options such like that, 2 options, they don't get discarded, right? 2 of the options will be kept, even if you solve with this logic. Now see, he gave you a question like this. Now see, on the right side of equal to, every time you have 2 integers, that means on the left side division should be complete, and minus stands for divide. So wherever we have a symbol of minus, we will replace it with divide. Now 8 divided by 6, 8 divided by 6 is 1.333333 non-terminating, and we know this very well, we can never convert a non-terminating decimal back to integer. So option A cannot be my answer. Option B is also 1.33333, we can never convert a non-terminating decimal back to integer. So this option can also not be my answer. Right. Now see, 18 divided by 3 is 6. And 18 divided by 3 is 6. Now in option B and C, since solving option B and C, we saw that on dividing in options B and C, our answer came out to be integer. 18 divided by 3, it is giving me an integer, and option C also giving me an integer. So now out of option B and C, one should be an answer. So what I am going to do, I am going to take any one of the options and I will solve the entire equation. If that option gives me an answer, it's okay, otherwise the remaining one would definitely be. So when I solve the option B, 18 divided by 3, plus stands for multiply, multiply by 2, multiply stands for addition, so plus 8, and divide stands for subtraction, minus 6. So this will be 18 divided by 6, 3, 6, 6 into 2 plus 8 minus 6, this will become 12, 12 plus 8 is 20, 20 minus 6 is 14. So this gave us an answer. So option B was correct. Alright, like this. Now try the logic. See, minus stands for divide, minus stands for divide, so wherever we have minus sign, we will replace it with divide. Right. And now on the right side of equal to, since all the equations contains integers, this clearly tells me that right, that the division should be complete. Right, the division should be complete. And now 7 divided by 1, it will give me 7 integer value. So this option can be my answer. 20 divided by 12, so 20 divided by 12 would be 5 by 3, and 5 by 3 is 1.66666666 non-terminating. We can never convert a non-terminating decimal back to integer, so this option cannot be my answer. Now 6 divided by 20, 6 divided by 20 is 0.3. To convert 0.3 back to integer, I have to multiply it with 10. That can only be possible when it is multiplied with 10. So after solving 6 divided by 20, as I can see, my remaining equation does not contain a multiple of 10. So this option also cannot be my answer. Now in option D, even though 7 divided by 1 gives me an integer value, but this 20 divided by 12 gives me a non-terminating decimal, that is 1.66666666, right, up to infinity. So this tells me that even though this is integer, but this part of the equation is a non-terminating decimal which can never be converted back to integer. So option D will also not be my answer. My answer will be option A. And someone who has a doubt, please solve the entire option A. You will see that your answer matches.